to talk briefly here about Energizers on our farm. The Energizer is what is the heartbeat of the fence. It's what really keeps the animals in. It's what actually creates the electric for the fence. Our main Energizer is at the top here, and this whole system will actually look overly complicated to most people, and it probably is overly complicated and overly built, but it's just tweaking over years of having the fence that I've been able to do this, and it makes it super easy for me to use. Again, very complicated for anybody else who hasn't seen the system. Briefly, we've got the 3 zones that we talked about on the fence lined up on these switches, and each zone, this is the bottom line, the second line, and the upper sections, the 3 through 6 lines, and I can control them on and off. I also, you can see I have multiple Energizers here. I've got our primary Energizer, which does most of the work, and I have a backup Energizer here. So one, if we have a lightning strike, I can very quickly switch over from my main Energizer to my backup Energizer without having to rebuild the system. I can then disconnect my main and continue on. I have some isolation lines down here. They're called Floodgate Controllers that will automatically turn the fence on and off, or different zones of the fence on and off, depending on weed load, and I can enable or disable the Floodgate Controllers with this bottom section. We won't go into too much detail about this system because it is overly complicated. You really could just have a simple Energizer with 2 lines coming out of it, one being your ground and one being your live fence line, and that is all you need. You do want to think about battery backup or what happens during power outages. Up here in this area, we sometimes get power outages for a week or 2. And we bought our Energizer specifically to run on AC power or DC power. Currently, we're running it always off of DC power on a battery. And then we've got the battery always on a battery tender. So if we have a power outage, my fence doesn't know about it. I've got 4 days of power in the battery, but we're always running generators on and off to keep our freezers cold anyway, so that should keep up with an indefinite power outage as long as we can run that generator for a few hours a day. Again, something to remember, remotes are key. Every Energizer is going to have a different remote system that works with it. Not all Energizers have remotes, so it's a function that you should definitely shop for. And I think is well worth it, whether you buy the remote right away or just have the ability to buy the remote later. Again, they're a few $100s, but they're well worth having. Some other Energizers, if you are moving in a portable system, you can get very, very portable small Energizers. This again will work off of either D batteries internally. It won't work for very long that way, or you can hook the leads up to a larger car battery or deep cycle battery later. This will hook right onto a fence post itself, right to the battery, and then one of these lines is your Energizer itself. So if you're just wanting to power up one set of ElectroNet, you can do it very easily with a small Energizer like this. You may find some cheap Energizers. These are no longer made because they used to catch fire. Not necessarily to the Energizer, but to grass. They're called weed burners. It's a continuous Energizer. It doesn't pulse like your normal Energizers now. You want to stay away from these. They're dangerous to animals. They're dangerous to your farm. They cause fires. The pulsing that you hear in the Energizer is just, that's all it is. The electric just pulses on and off. And it's a very quick pulse of electricity and then a break. These old style, they just stay on continuously. So if you find these online or something like that, someone's getting rid of some stuff, avoid them. They are not really that great. All of my lead out from the Energizers come down through the system of wires. It's bundled in here. Again, we've got multiple zones, and they go back out to grounding systems. We haven't really touched on grounding here, but grounding is very important. If you don't have a very good ground system, your fence won't work very well. We'll have to expand on that in another video. For now, I think that's all we can really talk about without getting into too much technical detail on this mess of switches.
Well, thank you all for spending some time with us today here at Bottle Farm. I hope that you found some of our information about fencing interesting. And yeah, just to summarize, farming is hard and fencing seems scary. But it really is okay. Nick and I are both first-generation farmers, so we're figuring this out as we go along, and just glad to share some of our experience with you all. You can check out our website for more information about our farm and the products we offer. Thank you.